Good. There you go. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Welcome to the ESU Coaches Show. We're live at Teddy's University tonight on the ESU Warriors YouTube channel. I'm Chuck Seese with ESU Warrior head football coach Jimmy Terwilliger to my right, ESU head men's basketball coach Jeff Wilson to my left. We're going to talk about the Warrior football win over Lock Haven on Saturday. We're going to preview this week's game against Shippensburg on the road, and we'll have live coverage of that game, by the way, coming up Saturday at 12:30 on Bigfoot Country 96.7 and 97.3, and streaming online at BigfootPoconos.com. Coach Wilson, we're going to start with you tonight. The Warriors, big news last week as the Warriors are picked the number one team in the coaches preseason poll. That has to feel pretty good. Does it put any extra pressure on your team?
Well, I think it goes to where you ended last year, right? And we were one of three teams to win the PSAC East. We have a lot of returners back, so I think it's a situation where it's kind of a respect thing, which feels good for everybody in the program that people view you that way. And I just tell the guys that means the target on your back's a little bit bigger, and you just got to prepare every game, and because you know you're getting everybody's best shot.
The season ends so abruptly in the playoffs, and you're one and done after you get out of conference play. And the team really had a great start. The postseason was really an issue last year, I think, and you'd have to agree with that. You brought in some new players. How do you address what you think you need to take it to the next step next year?
Well, we had a great year, and it was one of those situations, 25 wins, third most wins in school history. Just lost some games against really good teams. I mean, Millersville was ranked. Gannon was ranked number 3 in the country. Lock Haven had a tremendous year. They were the only 5 losses we had. So when you look at that and you look back at the season, do a couple things better here or there, right? And, things we could have corrected, and I want my guys to know that. Some of those games were correctable. So this year you just got to be better. And, whether you have the target on your back, whether you don't have the target on your back, everybody's trying to win. So you go into every game looking to give everybody their best shot and clean things up. But everybody right now is 0-0, right? And it's one of those situations where we got 28 games on our schedule, and how good can we be in those 28 to hopefully get 29, 30, 31.
You had a lot of new faces on this year's team. We talked in the beginning of the month when Warrior Madness was taking place. How do you acclimate so many new players into your system? Most of them are at the guard spot. How is it, a challenge for you to acclimate that many new players into your system?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you look at the returners back in your program, and they set the tone for your program. They know the standard of the program. They know the expectations of the program. Obviously, we're in a great situation. We have one of the best players in the region, maybe in the country, in Lakeem McAliley. So it starts with him. And then we have a lot of guys inside in particular. Nas Griffin was a starter last year, averaged just under 11 points a game. Carson Howard, Jalen Pichardo, those guys have both been tremendous in preseason. So our inside game has only gotten better. People are going to look at the guards and say, how do you blend those guys in? Davon Lee, experience. He's played 3 years in the program, had a red shirt last year due to injury. He's looked very good in the preseason. Evan Morton behind him and Mike Ramos behind him. Mike has a lot of experience at every guard spot, so that's a good thing for us. Cam Young is a wing. He was the first wing off the bench last year, a lot of experience. 2 of the guys we brought in are transfers with college experience. Christian Pierre-Louis from St. Rose was an all-rookie performer up there, averaged 11 points a game. And Ethan Millirons is probably one of the best shooters in the region. He came from St. Thomas Aquinas, 2 years under his belt. So even though we're a little bit younger and inexperienced, we're younger in our system, and we have a lot of room for growth. But we have some guys that played college basketball, and they're acclimating pretty quickly.
You get the chance to start the season at home this year. Talk about the competition you'll be facing November 9th and 10th.
Well, we're going to start off with Elizabeth City State. We went down there last year. Everybody is telling me that they've had the best recruiting year in the CIAA. So we don't know a lot about them because very much like us, their roster's changed over quite a bit. But we know they're going to be very talented. And then Lincoln was the CIAA champion last year, and they're picked to win the CIAA this year. So 2 really quality opponents to start off the year. We're trying to schedule as good a teams as we can to come into Kohler Fieldhouse and also go on the road. challenge us, also hopefully put us in position for an NCAA tournament bid if you have success.
Well, we hear iron sharpens iron all the time on the football field, right? So it's going to be that way for the basketball team getting started, as we said, November 9th and 10th.
No question. No question. Looking forward to it.
Can't wait to see the team in action. Coach, thanks for the time. We're going to meet Lakeem McAliley and Davon tonight.
Yes, no question.
Right. Thanks again for bringing your players and talking to us for a couple of minutes. Okay, so iron sharpens iron. You're playing some tough competition week in and week out in the PSAC. Teams are getting a good start on you, and in the last couple of weeks you've had to come from behind. You did it again this week with a 21-7 performance in the second half, and again your fourth quarter you seem to dominate the ball, the time of possession. Keeping the other team's offense off the field is one way to limit a team to 7 points and a half.
We've got really good players that understand how to finish football games. That's the way they practice and train, and the culture of what we're doing in the fourth quarter in the last couple of games is starting to show. If they only had a head coach that would get them out of the locker room and out of the bus, we'd all be happy. But we've got some really good players. Our coaching staff's working really hard, and when you looked at this weekend's opponent from Saturday, a win's a win. And you can never get tired of winning. I'll take a dirty loss over a clean, or a dirty win over a clean loss anytime. And our guys are finding ways to win. I think Coach Will can talk about this as well. Finding ways to win games is the most important thing. They all aren't the way they come and planned, and we just need to focus on the little things that are correctable. We need to focus on the things that will make us an elite football team growing forward, and being able to peak and kind of bridge that capability gap. And finding ways to win is a trait that all champions do. So we're trying to focus on those things and move on to Shippensburg this week.
Can I imagine for a second that maybe one of the points of emphasis when you got into looking at game film this week was how to field a kickoff return?
We'll have some kickoff returning drills this week, if you can imagine that. It's the job of the head coach and every coach on our staff to make sure we take those experiences and go from it. It's one of those unique deals that comes up once every season. Thankfully, it happened on the first kickoff in the opening drive against Lock Haven, not in the fourth quarter in a timely manner where we would need it. So these are all things that you'll learn from. When we take a look at it, it'll be about stacking these days leading up to Shippensburg, which is a fine opponent. They've played us really tough the last 3 years. It's a great challenge for us and to be able to correct those mistakes moving forward.
Another big game by your pair of running backs, and I'm going to coin a nickname tonight. All right, Tyrese and Tahir, TNT. You like it?
Well, listen, they're playing like TNT, but the magic in those guys are the guys up front that you'll talk to last week. They're really busting their tail. We have a lot of guys that have ownership in being able to put together good performances. And Tyrese and Tahir, are outstanding athletes. There's no denying that. But they're surrounded by 8, 9, 10 guys that are just leaving it on the floor, and that's exactly what you see week in and week out from those guys.
And to a man, when you talk to them in person, that's the first thing they do is they point credit to the offensive line and their teammates around them. Lots to come here on the Warrior Coaches Show tonight. Again, ESU will be in action on Saturday at Shippensburg. We'll have live coverage at 12:30 with the pregame show, the kickoff at 1 o'clock. We've got more to come, including AJ's View tonight. Stay with us. The ESU Coaches Show is just getting started. Back after this. It is a Monday night at Teddy's University, and that means it's the ESU Coaches Show. I'm Chuck Seese. We're talking ESU basketball right now. To my right, I have junior guard Davon Lee, a veteran guard for the Warriors, and to my left, Lakeem McAliley, a senior. We're going to talk about the Warrior program, some new faces that we talked to your coach about. But, Davon, I want to start with you. You had your season injury shortened last year, so you kind of had a different perspective of the team being away from the team on the floor. How does that change your view of this year's team?
To be honest, it just really just made me miss basketball a lot and miss being out there with my brothers. So I'm just excited to be back and excited to ring chase again for another year.
Ring chasing's got a nice sound to it, doesn't it? For sure. So plenty of new faces at the guard spot. Who has impressed you the most on this year's team? And then I got another question about you and your teammates.
Okay. Newcomers-wise at the guard spot, Evan Morton, Ethan Millerons, Christian Pierre-Louis. I think those guys have really impressed for us newcomers-wise. And, yeah.
Ethan really shot the lights out, Warrior Madness, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He's our shooter for sure.
Put on quite a show. So now, who guards you the toughest in practice?
I would say Evan, because we are both point guards, so we guard each other. Okay. So I can't really speak on anybody else, but me and him definitely battle in practice and make each other better for sure.
Awesome. What are you looking forward to the most in getting back onto the floor with your team?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just excited to go through the highs and lows of the season, go through being happy, go through the bumps we might take, but at the end of the day, getting through it and winning games. That's all that it comes down to.
You're going to get a chance to get off to a great start on the weekend of November and 10th. You're from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So tell me, when you get the chance to go back for the holidays or visit family, is there one thing you say, when I get back in town, this is what I got to get first?
It's like a little hibachi spot in Harrisburg. It's called Osaka. Every time I go there, I gotta grab a platter.
I kind of thought there might be one place like that.
Definitely.
And what's the best thing to have at Osaka?
It's like hibachi, so they got rice, chicken, vegetables, basically like a Japanese place. But
sounds delicious. Yeah. I hope you get back there a couple of times before the end of the year.
I will. Thank you.
Right. Davon Lee, you're going to turn over to Lakeem McAliley. He's in the top 10 in many Warrior categories as you enter your senior season. And I know that the numbers, mean, a part of what you've accomplished at ESU, but your teammate said it first, ring chasing. That's got to be what's on your team's mind this year.
Definitely, ring chasing is definitely a number one priority right now. We got a high motor team, like a high caliber team, and I feel like we can be have a great team and a great season.
As you look at the strength of your team, at the forward spot, Coach Will was talking to some of the guys, and I couldn't even keep track of all the names that have experience. And when you play the style that you play, you have to have guys that can come in and out of the lineup fresh. So with the new guys that are on this team, what do you look forward to the most as the season gets going?
What I look forward most is just them watching us and watching how we play, and them trying to replicate that and the energy that we bring on, and them trying to reciprocate it and help us move forward in our development in our season.
You are definitely an energy player. Who guards you the toughest at the front court spot when you go after each other in practice?
So I feel like all of them gives me a tough look, because they all know like what we do and stuff like that. But out of all of them, I would say Carson Howard out of all of them, because he's kind of the taller one out of all of us, and he's been bulking up just like this over the summer with me. So he definitely gave me one of the toughest looks, I would say.
As a senior on this team, you have to be looked upon in a leadership role. How have you talk about some of the responsibilities that you have as a senior leader?
So basically, just keeping my teammates focused during practice sometime. And we have like 3-hour practice, so it kind of get long, and then I know you get tired mentally. So I basically try to keep them locked in and engaged in what we're doing, and make sure they don't like just slip away and just get distracted.
A guy that's Lakeem's size is tough to miss at sporting events, and you're at a lot. I cover a lot of sporting events in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring. So when you're in your off season, you get to see a lot of events. What's your favorite off-season sport?
So my favorite off-season sport right now would be field hockey. Like I've been there at multiple occasions and stuff like that, and like I just like how they fight until the end, and the game ain't over until the clock hits 0 for them.
That's nice. Got to be inspiring to see your fellow scholar athletes out on the field competing like that.
Definitely. Like Jada Van Gils, like she's a great player. I watch her a lot. I notice what she do and how tough she plays and how well she communicates with her teammates too.
Lakeem, thanks again. Again, the Warriors will be in action on the court at Kaler Fieldhouse on November 9th and 10th in the Tip-Off Classic. Thanks to Davon Lee and Lakeem McAliley. We've got more to come from the ESU Coaches Show. Stay with us on the ESU YouTube channel. Back after this break. Welcome back to the ESU Coaches Show. I'm Chuck Seese. We're talking ESU Warrior football with Billy Inge III, or Coach B.I., as his proteges call it. Well, you know what? They all do. Every time we have a defensive backfield player, whether it's a safety or a cornerback, they all talk about Coach B.I. and how they're inspired by your play. And we were just talking before our time here started. You know, you were a player for 3 years. When you were playing at ESU, go back with me to your freshman and sophomore year. Can you ever imagine that 6 years later you'd still right, okay, that 6 years later you'd be in the position you're in?
Oh no, I never could have imagined that during a play, because when you're playing, you're focused on the next moment in your career. You have no idea really where life's going to take you next. I did know, and it's an interesting thing. I looked at an article that I had, where I got an interview in the Courier that said I would be blessed, beyond belief, to be a coach at either my high school, or East Stroudsburg, where I played college football. And I never imagined it would happen the way it did. Even when I looked forward to it, I had no idea what was really in store for me, all the things that it could bring, not just to my career, but to my life and my development as a man, and as a person, as a mentor, and also being a learner by nature as a mentee. And there's so much more to learn when you get in the door that you didn't realize. But no, I could have never imagined. I'm so happy that it happened. I'm blessed beyond belief. Everything that kind of led me to East Stroudsburg is an interesting path, long path, but it was all for the best. I wouldn't take it back for anything, and I know that there's a lot more to go. But up until now, it's been more than I could have ever asked for.
And it was an incredibly seamless transition from player to coach. It seemed from our eyes, looking, as you go moving from player to coach. Is that fair to say, or was it not as seamless?
Well, I wouldn't say seamless. It's step by step. I would say it's been made that way by the people that have provided me opportunity, whether it's the people that I coach or the people that have coached me and gave me an opportunity to get my first step in the door. And have not just, they didn't let me get my first step in and say, okay, here you go now. They've empowered me and taught me step by step how to do it the right way. And I think that's really helped me. I've been inspired and blessed to be coached by some great people.
Let's talk about Let's talk about the players that you're coaching right now, because as a player, you were known as a guy that could go get the ball and go make plays. And it seems like the roster of players that you have are molded in that image. Go after the ball, get to the high point of the ball, go see it, go get it. And your team has done a lot of that. You've also been blessed with some good bounces and some good tips, but that's all part of the practice and the routine as well.
Yeah, it's part of the game. I mean, I try to keep it as simple as possible. The game is supposed to be fun. It's going to be rewarding, but it also takes some hard work and work hard, compete, do it right are our three things. And my job is to make sure that we're working to be the hardest working unit on our football team and pride ourselves in that, be as competitive as we can possibly be, so that when the ball does bounce your way, you're in a position to go make the play, and then doing it right so that, because when you play the game, you're on autopilot, really. You can't think too much when you're out there, and we got to train our autopilot settings, if you will, so that we're at our best when everything's flying fast. Who we are by nature, is the best version of us that we can be, and we're still working to get to that point. But it's been an unbelievable journey with these guys. I love coaching them, and we're just trying to play fast, have fun on Saturdays, but the work from Sunday to Friday, is really what gets that done, and I'm just trying to put them in a position to maximize what they can do.
Again, they all talk about Coach B.I. in the defensive backfield and the defensive secondary, so they certainly appreciate the work and the time that you're spending with them as now a mentor. And what does it mean to you to be able to turn around and now be a mentor to young men?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I would have never imagined it would be that rewarding, because like I said, when you're playing, it's more, looking through a straw. But when you're coaching, it's such a more rewarding feeling, because you watch people who have gone through the process that several of them, they're going through the process that you've gone through, all in different ways, and you're able to really help them develop from young kids who come out, get from high school to the college ranks, and then you're able to help them develop to young men who they all, have individual goals, and then they all align with the group goals and then the team goals, and to help them be able to get to somewhere that they didn't even think they could go. right? That they never really imagined they can go the same way that people did for me is, a feeling that can't really be compared to for me.
I would imagine that, on the coaching staff, you guys all look at players and say, oh, yeah, there's a coach in the future. There's got to be several on this team.
Absolutely, absolutely. We had a few. We had a couple of my former players coach against each other the other night. It was pretty cool. We definitely have a few. I think that in the future, especially in maybe 2-3 years, look out for some of these guys, and I think the game could always use that. I think the game could always use more really, really good coaches who are invested in the people, invested in the process and doing it the right way. And I'm trying to cultivate that within our group and really, really coach great leaders, because then they'll transition to great coaches in whatever they do, whether it be football or anything else.
And it's almost stunning to me, the legacy of coaching that we have here at ESU. I mean, Coach Dowd started a legacy of many coaches that came after him and have gone to different places, and now relationships are so deep across part of this country where you trip over an ESU coach in every town you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I had heard about a little bit when I was a player. I didn't know until I got into coaching how many people, were under that. You talk about that Denny Dowd coaching tree, if you will, of whether they played here or started their coaching career here and how they expanded. And as I've gone, I think it's because of that unique family feel. We talk about Warriors for life and things of that nature. There's something special about it where I can't compare it to anywhere else, but I just know here the people come first, and then the football is a product of that, of doing it the right way by people. And I think that provides people in the field of football a unique perspective of the game that you might not find everywhere else. So I think it gives a lot of people a leg up, because you're learning how to deal with people first, and then football second here, and that's been a huge help to me, and I'm sure it's been a huge help to so many other coaches like me.
We're going to meet some of those people that you work with on a daily basis on the field. Billy Inge, Coach B.I., thank you so much, man. Appreciate always a couple of minutes.
So much. We'll see you soon, my guy.
All right. We got more to come here on the ESU Coaches Show. We are going to talk to some of the players that were involved in that big 38-35 win over Lock Haven on Saturday, and we'll preview this week's game with A.J. Monsman on AJ's View. So stay with us. More to come from the ESU Coaches Show. We're at Teddy's. Stay with us. We're back after this. Wet my whistle. Welcome back to the ESU Coaches Show. I'm Chuck Seese. We're in the second half of the show, and the Warriors are ahead. How about that? I've got Lucas Skelley, a defensive lineman, to my left. Adam Noll, Warriors punter, to my right. We're going to start talking about you. You had an interesting day on Saturday. That wind was so fierce from one direction to the other, and you guys had the wind at your back obviously in each half, but to start with the wind at your back, you had a couple of monstrous punts, and then you had to come back the other way and punt into that wind. So, your average 3 kicks that averaged about 60 yards total for a game is outstanding. But obviously, when you're dealing with that wind, it's got to be a huge, huge difference to have it at your back and in your face. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the wind's definitely no joke when you play. We're going out there to warm up, talking with Coach Scotty. He was just saying, how to drop the ball, because it's different. The ball's going to move on you depending on the wind. So I got a good opportunity to punt with it for the first couple, so I just made the most of the moment. And then when you're punting into it, you're just doing your best and hope the guys can down the ball as soon as possible.
When you have the wind with you like that, is there a key to? Are you thinking, okay, well, if I can drop this in front of the return guy, then he may not be able to get it, and it could take a big bounce and a big roll too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes you don't want to kick it too far because
Literally outkick the coverage, right?
Outkick the coverage, and so when I'm looking, I'm just seeing where he's kind of standing, what I have to do to be successful, and then I just give it my best effort, and then our guys go down there, look intimidating, and they are intimidating, and they down the ball.
Special teams, I think, sometimes gets overlooked, but it is a huge part of the game when you talk about kicking and point afters and field goals and punting, because field position can be huge, and that's what both of those punts really pushed Block Haven deep into their own territory on Saturday.
Yeah, it's been a big part of our team this year. Ty, he's incredible, has done unbelievable job on field goals. I can't give him enough credit because I definitely wouldn't want to be doing what he's doing. And I think he can say the same thing about my position, so we kind of complement each other in a way. And then AJ, our long snapper, he's done such a great job. He's a veteran, helping both of us out. But we're just a really strong group, and I think that's what makes us so good and have so much success on the field.
So punters and kickers often get a bad rap as being kind of quirky, maybe a little off center, a little different. They work out in their own position group, and it's a small group, right? You got your holder and your punter and your kicker and your snapper. And so is it fair to say that you have some quirky pregame rituals? And if you have any rituals that you want to share with us?
I wouldn't say anything quirky. I mean,
a special sock or a special right shoe, and you kick with your right foot.
Nothing really. It's just we're doing the same thing every time, having mental clarity, just seeing the kick before you even go out there. And then, like I said, that bond that we have together, we might be seen as like, the fun guys of the group, or, just always having a good time. But don't get us wrong. I think we're very athletic. I don't think anybody doubts the athleticism. It's just sometimes, you know that if you look through history, there have been some kind of crazy kickers in this game. Yeah.
Fair to say.
Fair to say.
I mean, there's been some crazy people at all kinds of positions, so I certainly didn't mean to offend.
No offense.
All right, here's your exit question. Okay. Non-football athlete that you would like to have the opportunity to have dinner with. Somebody who's an athlete but a non-football athlete.
I would say Steph Curry, because he's known as the greatest shooter of all time. So every night he's expected to perform at a high level in front of all those people. So I would just like to pick his brain and see how he's able to stay calm in those moments, because I think everyone watched the Olympics, that last 2 minutes, just being able to perform when expectation and pressure is high. I would love to just get his feedback on how he deals with adversity in moments.
That's an awesome answer, Adam. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn to your teammate Luke Skelley right now, part of a big defensive line. And the thing that I notice about this year's defensive line, I mean, you started with more numbers than you have now when you lose a guy like Ryan Heber, who has the experience that he had on that defensive line. But you guys continue to get after it, get after the quarterback. You made some big plays at the end of the Lock Haven game this week to really seal the victory. So you guys are playing at a high level. How does it feel to be playing with such confidence right now?
Well, our coaches prepare us extremely well every week. I mean, we watch tons of film. We go through everything that they could possibly do at practice. There's going to be plays that they bring out that we haven't seen, because every team has those. But even then, we just fall to the level of our training, and every week, day in and day out, we're training extremely hard. Even the special teams guys, even though you might not think they're athletic, they do the same training as us. They condition with us. They lift with us. They do all the same stuff. So we're all extremely prepared.
Hey, look, I know Pat McAfee's jacked. I see it. I want to give you some numbers on Lucas. 4 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. And those were on 2 different plays, weren't they?
Yeah, the fumble recovery was in Gannon, and then the forced fumble was this weekend at Lock Haven. So
what is there one that gives you more satisfaction than another, making a tackle behind the line of scrimmage, or punching a ball out, or falling on a loose ball?
I mean, obviously the punch out for me was probably better, but I don't sit around and think about those plays. Every play, I just want to go out and do my job, and whether it's me making the play, my teammates making the play, anywhere on the defense, picks, interceptions, fumbles, sacks. It's all exciting for everyone.
They say the game is won or lost in the trenches. And, I mean, you guys are big offensive linemen, defensive linemen. I'm going to ask you the same thing that I kind of asked the other athletes that have been up here with us. Who gets after it against you on the offensive line that helps you become a better player?
I mean, definitely one of the big ones, Kyler Wiesner, Ray Christus, Guy Gilliard, you know.
You can do anything against Guy, right?
And if you can hold your own against him, you can hold your own against anyone, because that guy, he comes hard at you whenever he's coming down on the line like that. So.
Well, we certainly appreciate all the effort that you guys are putting out there on the field, and can't wait to see what you have dialed up against Shippensburg this Saturday. Lucas, thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Lucas Skelley, member of the defensive line, and, of course, Adam Noll, the ESU punter. The ESU will be on the field against Shippensburg this Saturday with the pregame show at 12:30 and live coverage of the kickoff at 1 o'clock on Bigfoot Country 96.7 and 97.3. And you can stream it online, too, from anywhere in the world at BigfootPoconos.com. Stay with us. More to come on the ESU Coaches Show. Welcome back to the ESU Coaches Show. We're here every Monday night at 5 throughout the football season. And these Warriors to my right and left are hoping that the Warrior football season gets extended into the playoffs right now. They're 7-1 with a 4-game winning streak after the big win against Lock Haven. To my left, I've got Tyrese Brandon, one of the wide receivers and really all-around offensive players, and Benny Pembleton, a wide receiver. Both of you guys are local guys, so let's start there. Tyrese, a Northampton Concrete kid. Benny Pembleton, a Stroudsburg Mountaineer. You know, you guys could have chosen anywhere, so I'm going to ask each of you the same question. What made you decide to stay in the area and attend ESU?
I'd say, like, the family connection we have here. Coach Swig preaches, blood runs thick, and it really does run thick here. We have a lot of guys that have been here for a long time, and they truly love this place in this area, and so do I.
Was it your first visit? Was your first contact? What was it that really, said, yeah, that's what's going to make the deal for me?
It wasn't my first visit. I went on other places, but once I came here on a visit, it just was like, I got to come here. It was something special. I didn't really know a lot about East Stroudsburg coming into here, but then coming on recruiting visits, getting recruited by Coach Swig and the staff, I learned to love this place.
Well, again, seeing these guys make plays at the high school level, every time Tyrese Brandon had his hands on the ball at Northampton, you kind of knew something special was going to happen. Benny Pembleton, you've worked very hard to stay with the ESU Warrior football team in a couple of seasons that you had injury issues, but last year you got an opportunity to shine when next man up mentality. You became the holder on the special teams unit for ESU, and this year you're out there making big plays. So talk about what it's been like for you to grow and, having a little bit of heartbreak, I guess, and not being able to get on the field earlier in your career, but now it's paying off.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, strength grows in the moments where you think you can't go on and you keep going anyway. And I kind of feel like there were a lot of times where I felt doubted and I didn't really necessarily believe in myself, but I trusted the vision. And Coach Twig preaches Warriors for life all the time. And it's just like, I trusted the vision of the program. I trusted the vision of the coaches. I trust the vision of my brothers, and having these guys all around me and having like a second family and, like we say, Warriors for life. It's just really cool to have that.
Warrior we talk about how deep the wide receiver room is, and we see it on a weekly basis when they make formation changes or personnel changes. It can be a completely new group of wide receivers. You're part of that, so talk about that. Talk about your group of players that are out there with you when those plays are called.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool about how deep our room really is, and I think that's something that we definitely don't take for granted. You can plug Tyrese Brandon at the number 3 receiver, the number 2 receiver, the number 1 receiver, be the backside receiver. You could plug me in anywhere. You could plug Justin Cook in anywhere. You plug Evan Roche in anywhere, Randy Pfizer, DJ Thompson, Cam Birdie. I could go down the whole list, and it's just, I think a lot of guys taking this summer and staying up here, training together, going over the schemes, going over the plays, and just getting a lot more chemistry with Sean McTaggart, Charlie McKee. It's just been really, really cool, and I think that having guys like Randy Pfizer around is just it pushes the standard every day. I mean, he's one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life, and he's made me better, Tyrese better, and we all just maybe one week it's Randy, one week it's Tyrese, one week it's Cook, one week it's me. It's just we're all pushing the standard every week, and I think that's what makes this room great.
No one knows what the future holds, but I just can't wait to see Randy Pfizer get back onto the field as a healthy player. It probably doesn't happen until next year, but man, oh man, you're right. There's somebody that came in and absolutely, brought a level, a standard level, I think, and just added that to the mix. I want to talk to you about, making plays out of the backfield, making plays at the line of scrimmage as a receiver. You never know where you're going to be lined up. I mean, you obviously do when the play is called, but does that make it more difficult for you to almost have to train at 2 different positions?
Not really. When I go to the backfield, we try to keep it as plain as possible, and when I'm out at receiver, it's just the base concepts that we've installed from camp to even spring ball. It's just the same exact stuff every day, so I'm just blessed to be able to have the opportunities that I'm having right now.
And for each of you, I'll finish with this before I get to my exit question, because I have one for each of you. With so many guys that are in the receiver room, knowing that on a normal night, you may not have that night where you're going to get 8 targets or 8 catches, but you know that the one you make might be the one that extends a drive or leads to a score. So how do you balance that, knowing that, again, there may not be a guy that gets the big numbers, but you've got so many different guys. 9 different guys have caught touchdown passes this year. So anybody can make a play, and that's got to make it interesting for you as a player.
Definitely. I think that when I first came here, and this was different on the teams earlier on in my career and later in my career, the guys now know that your 1/11th is what matters. I mean, I might not be running a route that's necessarily going to make me wide open, but I know if I run my route correctly, that'll get Tyrese open, and Tyrese knows if he runs the route correctly, that'll get me open, and it's just like trusting in the whole scheme. I mean, our coaches do a great job of putting us in situations where we can make plays based off of the stuff they see in film and we watch in film and we learn. But I think that just understanding, like, your time's going to come. Like, God's got a plan for all of us, and I really do think that it's just situations happen to good people, and it happens at the right times.
All right, so I'm going to ask you kind of an iron sharpens iron. If you're in practice, and who's lined up across from you that gives you the biggest fit in the Warrior secondary?
I'd say Adewale Ambianju or Malachi Bowman. They're 2 of the best corners in the PSAC. You see it week in and week out. Mally had a great play, what was that, like 2 weeks ago? That flipped the whole momentum around. Without those guys, we wouldn't be who we are out there on Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. So just shout out to Coach Inge and his crew for absolutely pushing us every day. And, yeah.
All right, I'm going to bounce back to high school for both of your exit questions. I've been to Alardosi Stadium. I've had some of the good concession stand food. What was your favorite concession stand food at Alardosi Stadium?
Probably Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
The Chick-fil-A sandwich is not a bad choice. Now everybody knows that the Mounties have the Mountie dog. Was that one of your favorites?
I'd say the Mountie dog or the French fry stand. I used to always hang out by the French fry stand when I was a kid, play football, and then just watch the older guys play. But I'd say the Mountie dog always is good.
All right, where was your after-school hangout here in the Poconos when you were a high schooler at Stroudsburg High School?
I think a lot of it. I mean, I sound old saying this, but back in our day, like, we would just be practicing or we'd be playing basketball. We would play basketball at the 2nd Street courts or the 3rd Street courts.
Finding a pickup game somewhere.
Yeah, finding a pickup game somewhere for sure.
Good enough. Appreciate you guys. Tyrese Brandon to my left and Benny Pembleton to my right. They'll be in action Saturday when the Warriors get after it against Shippensburg. We'll have live coverage with the Warrior pregame show at 12:30 and the kickoff at 1 o'clock. Stick around. AJ's View is next as we wrap up the Warrior Coaches Show live from Teddy's University. Join us next Monday at 5 p.m. right here, back after this timeout. Woo! Hey, we're back at the ESU Coaches Show at Teddy's University. I'm Chuck Seese here with AJ Monsman. Almost time for AJ's View, but I got to ask you, you put in the orders every week because I hear Coach Terwilliger come in and say, give your order to AJ. What's the most popular thing that the guys order here at Teddy's?
You know, Teddy's has such a great menu.
No, that's why I asked.
You know, a lot of people with the cheesesteaks. I'm a big stinking Lincoln guy. There's a couple people over there with the chicken crisp melt. Okay, they get after it, and all the food's great at Teddy's. We thank them for having us every week.
We do. So, again, the Warriors get off to kind of a sluggish start. Special teams are an issue with the opening kickoff that gets uncovered, and Lock Haven pounces on it, and then they take it in for a score, and the Warriors find themselves down 14-0, down 11 at half. But the fourth quarter really is the difference in this ball game for the Warriors, where they keep the ball away from Lock Haven. They held the ball for over 9 minutes in that fourth quarter and just really limited to what Lock Haven could do.
Absolutely, Chuck. A little bit of a sluggish start, as you said. The opening kickoff, we call for a fair catch, aren't able to make the play. They get on it. You know, when you're coaching 18 to 25-year-olds now that with the new rule, 24 to 25-year-olds, however old they are, and you're asking them to play mistake-free football, I think that's something the coaches say, hey, we got to play mistake-free. That never happens, you know, and kids make mistakes. I make mistakes, and every coach will tell you that they make mistakes. And, it's a mistake that happened, and all you can do is, he tried his hardest, and all you can do is coach him and make sure it doesn't happen again. But, we missed that play. You know, they score on a one-play touchdown. They get something rolling. We go down 14. Able to put 17 on the board. They're able to put 28 on the board. And then our defense really turned it around in the second half. You know, I think, they definitely did not play up to their standard if you ask them during the game. But especially in that first half, they were not happy with how they played, not only coaches but players. They expect to play much higher, and that's what makes them a really good defense. They gave up 3 out of 6 third downs in the first half, and they brought that all the way down for 1 for 6 in the second half. So they really played, in that fourth quarter, able to score, able to keep the ball away, and you saw it get to 4th and 4, and the defense made a terrific stop on a 4th and 4. I think Everett Dingle broke up the pass, if I'm not mistaken, but just able to get off the field, and sometimes it doesn't go how you want it, but making big-time plays in big-time situations, and that's what it's all about.
There was a defensive adjustment that I thought was pretty interesting, to put 4 defensive linemen down and then 7 men back covering when Lock Haven had it deep in their own territory. But I almost felt and literally felt like I could see an energy in that defensive line when you could kind of tell that they were starting to wear down the Lock Haven offensive line. And when they finally got to Ostrowski in the fourth quarter, you could really see how the defensive line had come to play.
Our defensive line is probably the deepest that I've ever been around. You talk about guys on the edge. You got, Aiden Hayward, Ashton Blows, Terrell Reynolds, Trenton Dunnick made a couple plays. They're so deep at that spot. Mekhi Booker, I'm sorry I left him out, but there's 5 defensive ends that can really make plays and that have played in big-time games before. And you look inside, you got Jake Williamson and Lucas Skelley, who just had on the show. You got Jamori Stephanie, Jared Fenstermacher, who are inside. So there's the defensive line so deep, and I think Coach Regal loves that because he can rotate early and often.
He also rotated one guy from the outside to the inside because I think Blows went inside at tackle.
Blows can play 3 tech on those big 3rd and longs, and what they do is awesome, and he's able to rotate guys to kind of wear down an offensive line that maybe can't rotate as much. So when an offensive lineman's getting 65 snaps a game, but a great edge rusher's only getting 30, he's getting half as many of the snaps, but he can be impactful on those snaps, and they really took over in the fourth quarter.
Looks like the Warriors might be facing a left-handed quarterback this week, and Sam Stoner at Shippensburg. Any kind of changes that they have to make because it's kind of a different angle, or it's almost like a mirror image of what they normally would face?
I don't really know. Harrison Seese, who you've seen play, he's also a left-handed quarterback, so I think that might help the defense a little bit. I don't think that's really in their mind. I think it's in the back of their minds, but, I know they just got a game plan. We got a game plan, and they're going to stick to it, I'm sure. I know Coach Lackey will come up with a great game plan. Coach Inch, who you had on, They do a great job. So, they'll be ready for Shippensburg. And Shippensburg's a quality opponent here coming in. Maybe the record doesn't seem it, but they're a quality opponent, and we're on the road. So, PSAC wins are hard to get, so we'll see what happens on Saturday.
Shippensburg beat Millersville 2 weeks ago in Millersville, so they go on the road and get a win. It's only their second of the season, but anytime you can post a win in the PSAC, you've done something.
Listen, PSAC wins are hard to get.
Especially on the road.
Road PSAC wins are harder to get, and we don't take wins for granted. We were able to pull off one. Lock Haven's record isn't the best, but they are a talented football team. I think people saw that Saturday. But road PSAC wins are very hard to get, and, we got to go on the road and try and pick one up Saturday.
AJ, always appreciate the view.
Thank you, Chuck.
AJ Monsman joining us here to wrap things up on the Warrior Coaches Show. Again, the Warriors will be in action on Saturday against the Shippensburg Raiders with live coverage beginning with the Warrior pregame show at 12:30. The kickoff at 1 o'clock from Seth Grove Stadium in Shippensburg. Thanks to AJ Monsman. Also thanks to Coach Billy Inge, Davon Lee, Lakeem McAliley, Lucas Skelley, Adam Noll. Did I miss anybody? Oh, Benny Pembleton and Tyrese Brandon. And, of course, Coach Jimmy Terwilliger and Coach Jeff Wilson of the Warrior men's basketball team. We'll see you next Monday night from Teddy's University on the ESU Coaches Show. Thanks for tuning in.